Hey guys, welcome to the session by Intellipaat. So in today's session, we will comprehensively learn about pandas. So let's have a quick glance at the agenda. We will start off by understanding what exactly is pandas. Then we will head on to the practical part and work with series object in pandas. After that, we'll see how to create a pandas data frame from list and dictionary. Going ahead, we'll see how to import a .csv file as a pandas data frame. Following which, we'll implement some data manipulation operations on top of the data frame. And finally, there'll be a quiz to recap what we've learned in today's session. Hey guys, welcome to this session by Intellipaat. So in today's session, we will comprehensively learn about pandas. So pandas is an open source Python library which is used for manipulating one-dimensional and two-dimensional data. And the name pandas is derived from panel data, which is a common term for multidimensional datasets encountered in statistics and econometrics. Now let's look at the types of data structures in pandas. So we've got one-dimensional and multidimensional data. So if you're working on a one-dimensional data set, it is known as a series object. And the two-dimensional data object is known as the pandas data frame. And if you're working on higher than two-dimensional data, pandas would create a panel data for you. So let's properly understand what exactly is a series object. Well, a series object in pandas is a one-dimensional labeled array which is capable of holding mixed data types like integer, string, floating point number, and so on. Now let's understand about data frame. So a data frame is a two-dimensional labeled data structure with columns which contain data of different types. So here we see that we have a two-dimensional data frame where the first and the third columns are of string type and the second column is numerical in nature. So now that we've understood what exactly is pandas and we've also understood the different types of data structures in pandas, let's go to Jupyter and start working with pandas. So I'll start off by importing the pandas data frame. So I'll type in import pandas as PD. So this PD which you see, this is just the alias. So I am importing pandas with the alias PD. So we have successfully imported this pandas data frame. Now I'll go ahead and create a series object from a list. So let's say I will name the list as data and I will give in these values. So the values inside these lists are 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now to create a series object from a list, all we have to do is use this pd.series function. So I'll use pd.series and inside this I will pass in this list and I will store this in S1. Now let me print this out. Right, so we have successfully created our series object from this list. So we've got these four numbers and these are the index values. So what you see over here is the indexing starts from 0. So 0, 1, 2 and 3, these are the index values and these are the actual values. Now let's see how can we change the index of this series object. So I'll just copy this over here, paste it over here again. So we have got the index attribute over here. Inside this, what I'll do is I will give in different set of values. Now let's say I want the index values to be A, B, C and D. So I'll just pass in these values for the index parameter over here and I'll store it back to S1. Now let me print S1 over here. So we have successfully created a series object where the index values are A, B, C and D. Now if we want, we can actually extract these individual elements with these index values. So let's say I want to extract the value which is present at the index value C. So I'll type in S1, I'll put in parenthesis and inside this I'll put in C, right? So I've successfully extracted this value. Similarly, let's say if I wanted to extract the element which is present at index A. So I'll type in A over here, right? Now let's say if I want to extract the first two elements. So if I want to extract the first two elements, I'll just put in a colon over here. I'll put in 2, right? So I've extracted the first two elements. Similarly, if I want to extract the last two elements, I'll put in a colon and over here on the left side of the colon, I'll put in -2. So this is how we can extract the last two elements from the series object, right? So we have created a series object out of a list. Now let's go ahead and create a series object out of a dictionary. So let me create my dictionary over here. I'll name this as D1 I'll put in curly braces over here. Now I'll create my dictionary. So I'll just start off by assigning the key value pairs. So A, 1, after that B, it is 2, after that for C, it is 3, and after that for D, it is 4, right? So I have successfully created my dictionary over here. Let me also print this out, right? So these are the key value pairs. Now, again, to create a series object out of this, I will type pd.series, and inside this I will pass in the dictionary, which is D1, and I will store this in S2. Now let me print out S2. So this is my series object over here, right? So all of the keys have been assigned as the index, and all of the values are the actual values in the series object, right? So A becomes the index value over here, B is the index, C is the index, D is the index, and the value corresponding to this key becomes the value in the series object as well. Now let's say if I want to resequence the index values over here, let's see how can we do it. So I will copy this and I will paste it over here. Now again I will use the index parameter, and inside this, let's say instead of A, B, C, D, I want the sequence to be D, C, B, A. So that is what I'll give over here. D, C, B, and A. Now let me run this and let me just print out S2 over here, right? So we have reversed the sequence of these indices. So initially it was A, B, C, and D. Now I have reversed it and now it is D, C, B, A. Right, so this is how we can create a series object out of a data frame and also change the sequence of these indices. All right, so we have work with series. Now let's go ahead and see how to create a data frame out of a list. So I'll just write a comment over here, creating data frame from a list. Right, so let me again go ahead and create my list. Data equals 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right, so I have created my list. Now I'd have to go ahead and create the data frame. And to create the data frame, this would be the syntax. So I'll type in pd.dataframe. So over here, you have to keep in mind that D is capital and F is capital, right? And inside this, I will just pass in this list and I will store this in df. Now let me print this out. Right, so we have successfully created a data frame out of this list. Now let's also go ahead and create a data frame out of a dictionary. So I will type in fruit over here. So the name of the dictionary is fruit. And over here, I will write the key to be equal to fruits. And the values for this key are, so we've got all of these fruits. We've got apple, we've got mango. After that, we've got banana, and finally, we've got guava. So this was the first key value pair. After that, I'll give in the second key value pair, which would be the count of the fruits. So I'll type in count, and over here, I will just set in the count. So let's say there are 10 apples, 20 mangoes, 40 bananas, and 30 guavas. Right, so we have created a dictionary. Now let me print this out. Now let me also go ahead and create a data frame out of this. So you already know we'd have to type in pd.dataframe, and inside this I will pass in fruit, and I will store this in, let's say, fruit underscore df. Now let me print this out, fruit underscore df, right? So what happened over here is these two keys have turned into the column names. So fruit has become the column name over here, count has become the column name over here, and these values come into the rows, right? So fruits we have over here, and apple, mango, banana, and guava are the row values. Again, count becomes the column name, and these values over here come over here, right? So this is how we can create a data frame out of a dictionary. Right, so now that we've understood the basics of series and data frame, let's go ahead and see how to import a data frame and do some sort of data manipulation on top of it. So I have this customer churn data frame with me. Let me go ahead and import it. So to import a data frame, I'll type pd.readcsv. Now inside this, I will just give in the name of the file. So the name of the file is customerchurn.csv, and I will store this in a new object and name that object to be customer churn. Now let me go ahead and print the first 5 columns of it. So it'll be customer churn dot head. Right, so this is our customer churn data frame, and it comprises of all of these columns. So we've got customer ID, gender, senior citizen, partner, and so on. Right, so this is a special function in Pandas which gives you the first 5 rows. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now similarly, let's say if you want to have a glance at the first 10 rows, you just given the value 10 over here, and you can glance at the first 10 rows of this customer churn data frame. So an analogous function to head is the tail function, which would give you the last few rows. So I'll type in tail over here. Now I'll click on run. So this over here gives you the last 5 rows from this customer churn data frame. Similarly, if you want to have a glance at the last 10 rows, you will just put in the value 10. Right? So these are the last 10 rows present in the customer churn data frame. Right. Now let's see how can we extract specific rows and columns from a pandas data frame. So for this, we've got log and ilog functions. So let's actually start working with the ilog function. So let's say I want to extract only the rows from row number 5 to row number 15, and only the columns from column number 2 to column number 4. Let's see how can we do it. Right, so I'll start off by giving the name of the data frame, which is customer churn. After that, I will use the function ilog, and I'll put in a comma over here. Right, so whatever is present on the left side of the comma, that denotes all of the rows, and whatever is present on the right side of the comma, that denotes all of the columns. So let's say if I want to extract all of the rows from 5 to 15. So I'll put in 5, I'll put in a colon, and I'll type in 15. Right, so I'll be extracting all of the rows starting from row number 5 to row number 15. Similarly, if I want all of the columns starting from column number 2 to column number 5, this is how it will go. Right, so let's actually have a glance at this. So this 2 to 5 over here. So since we already know that in Python indexing starts from 0. So 0, 1, 2. So this would be our column number 2, which is senior citizen. So 2, 3, and 4, senior citizen, partner, and dependents. Right, so we have extracted column number 2, column number 3, and column number 4, and we have extracted the rows starting from row number 5 to row number 14. Right, so this is how we can extract specific rows and columns from a data frame. Now let's go ahead and see how can we perform some sort of data manipulation. So let's say from this entire data frame, I want only those records where the gender of the customer is female. Right, so for this, what we'll do is I'll just start off by typing the name of the data frame, which is customer churn, and then inside the parenthesis I will give in the name of the column, which is gender. After that, I'll use the double equal to operator and then give in the condition, which is the gender of the customer needs to be equal to female. Right, now I'll click on run and let's see what do we get. So you get a bunch of true and false labels. Now this bunch of true and false labels basically means that over here at record number 0, it is actually true. That is, the gender of the customer is female. So false over here indicates that gender of the customer is not female. Here again it is false, here again it is false. So again at record number 4, it is true. That is, the gender of the customer is female. Now what I'll do is, I will cut this and I will paste it back inside this. Right? So what is happening over here is, from this customer churn data frame, I will extract only those records where this condition is true. Right? And I will store this in, let's say, female customer. Alright, I'll click on run. Now let me print out the head of this. Female underscore customer dot head. Right. So we have successfully extracted a subset from the original data frame where the gender of the customer is only female. Now similarly, let's say if you want to do some sort of complicated operation than this. So let's say we want to extract only those records where tenure of the customer is greater than 50 and the internet service of the customer is equal to fiber optic. Alright, so now let's start off with the first condition. So I'll give in the name of the data frame, which is customer churn, and inside the parenthesis, I will give in the name of the column, which is tenure. So the tenure of the customer needs to be greater than 50. Alright, so I'll cut this and put this inside braces. I'll put the AND operator and give in the second condition. So the second condition is the internet service of the customer needs to be equal to DSL. So I'll type in internet service and this needs to be equal to DSL. Right, again I'll put this condition inside quotes over here. Alright, so we've got these two conditions, and finally I'll put those two conditions inside the data frame. So what is happening is, from this entire customer churn data frame, we'll be extracting only those records where these two conditions are satisfied. Right, and I will store this in, let's say, C underscore tenure underscore internet. Now let me print out the head of this. So it'll be C underscore tenure underscore internet dot head. Alright, so let me have a glance at the tenure. So over here, if you see, the tenure of the customer is greater than 50 for all of these values. So 62, 58, 72, 70, and so on. Now similarly, if I have a glance at the internet service column, then you'll see that all of these values are DSL. Right, so this is how we can perform data manipulation operations on top of the Pandas data frame. Alright, so we are done with the practical. Now let's go through this quiz. So this is our first question over here. Which of these is used to have a glance at the top few records in a Pandas data frame? And these are your options. So you've got df.top, df.start, df.head, or none of the above. So guys, what do you think is the answer? Well, whatever you think is the correct answer, put down in the comment box and we'll reply to you. So this brings us to the end of the session. Thank you very much for attending.